To remove the tripod from your 360 video, the first step is to open your project. In this example, I will be using Premiere Pro. The next step is to open your sequence containing the videos with tripods that you would like to remove. Put your playhead over any portion of your stitched video. And then if I go to my VR video toggle display and I look down, you can see that the tripod is still visible. Our goal in this video is to remove this using Photoshop. So the first step is to export this as a still image. And you do that by clicking Export Frame. If you don't see this icon, then go to the bottom right, click Button Editor, and you would look for the icon and click and drag it to the bottom and click OK so that it is available in your quick access toolbar. So next I'm going to click Export Frame and up will pop this option. So I'm going to name it 6 David Outro. The reason that it's 6 is that it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th video in this sequence, and David Outro is the name that I gave this stitched clip. I'm going to make sure that the format is PNG and click Browse for the file location. I've created a folder in my project folder called Pictures. And as you can see, I continued with the naming convention for the first 5, and I've already gone ahead and exported these first 5 frames. I'm going to click Choose to make sure that it saves in that folder, and then click OK. The next step is to open Photoshop. As you can see, I already have the first 2 open, but for consistency, I will go ahead and do it on the 6th. So I'm going to drag this in to Photoshop. So the next step is to perform a series of actions on this video. Actions is this window that you can see right here. If you don't see it, then you click Window and you click this button called Actions. As you can see, when I clicked it right now, it went away. And if I click it again, it will reappear. You might also see it appear as this little guy, which is a play button, Actions. So, as you can see, I have an option here called Tripod Removal. You may not have that. So to import it, I'm going to give it to you as a download. And to put it onto Photoshop, you're going to go to the top right of this window and click these horizontal bars. And then you'll scroll down and click Load Actions. Right now, I have the file that you need to download on my desktop. It's called tripodremoval.atn. Then you would go ahead and click Open, and then it will appear at the very bottom of your Actions toolbar. If I go ahead and click this little triangle caret, you can see that it comes with a series of actions. I'm going to perform these in sequential order. So the first one is to rotate this video 180 degrees. The second step is to change it from an equirectangular form to angular fisheye. And then I'm going to click this play triangle button to perform the action. Now you can see the tripod is much easier to see. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you 3 methods for removing this. But before we do that, it's crucial that you duplicate this layer, and I'll explain why later. So to do that, you either do Command C, Command V to copy paste. You can also click and drag this layer over this little post-it note. Those are 2 ways you can duplicate it. I'm going to turn off the bottom layer to preserve it in its original form. I'm going to click Layer 2. So I'm going to zoom in either by clicking Command plus, or you can also click this magnifying tool. The shortcut for that is the letter Z on your keyboard, and then you click and drag. I'm going to minimize this window by clicking these little 2 carets to collapse to the icons. And I will now show you the first of the 3 ways. The first is the clone stamp tool. So this little circle is a brush. To make it bigger and smaller, you click the buttons, the brackets next to the letter P on your keyboard. One makes it bigger, one bracket makes it smaller. So I'm going to make it the approximate size of the tripod that I need to remove. The next step is to create a sample of pixels. So to do that, I'm going to hold down on the Option key, and I'm going to click the pixels that I would like to sample. Then I'm going to hover over the tripod and click and drag. As you can see, above my circle is a crosshatch, and that's taking continuous samples of pixels. And as you can see, the problem it may create is sampling things that you would not like this tape right here. But it's an easy solution by holding down an Option, clicking and sampling a different set of pixels, and then just going right over it. So this is one method. So the second method that I'd like to show you is using the lasso tool. So that's at the top left. If I go to lasso tool, I can select the tripod and then go back up to where you see this band-aid. I'm going to hold down on it and go to patch tool. I'm going to hover my cursor over the selection till I see the patch with a little arrow coming out of it. I'm going to click and drag it over a new set of pixels. When I let go, as you can see, it took care of the problem. However, it also sampled a little bit of this tape right here, and this gets cut off a little bit unnaturally. So while this second option may be the fastest, it's also the laziest and less precise. So I'm going to undo these. And to deselect, to make these little ants go away, you hold down on Command D. So for the third way, you can use the healing brush tool. So this is similar to the clone stamp, where you're given a brush. You can change the size using the brackets next to the letter P on your keyboard. And then you can click Option and click to sample a set of pixels. Then you can drag over. And there's similarly a crosshatch that appears. But one thing that you may notice is that if you go over something, it's a little bit smeary. So that's where the clone stamp comes in to be quite helpful. If I go back to the clone stamp, I can take an exact replica of this tape, and when I drag down, it recreates it. So the best method is to actually use the patch tool, the healing brush tool, and the clone stamp all in conjunction with each other to get rid of things. As you can see, I can lasso a little bit here, and then use the patch tool to take this out, and then deselect using Command D. And then I can go back to the clone stamp, sample these pixels down here. Okay, so the tripod is pretty much gone now. So if we want to look at the original, I'm going to deselect the eyeball for layer 2 and click the one for layer 1. So this was the original, and if I click layer 2 back on, you can see the new one. So we only want this portion of the picture that's going to go back into Premiere Pro. So to get an accurate selection, I'm going to click on layer 2 and change the opacity to about 3/4 or 75%, just so you start seeing the tripod again. So next, I'm going to take my lasso tool and I'm going to select the area that contains the tripod, the part that we would like to cover up. After I've selected, to make it look the most natural, I'm going to right click and click feather. 5 to 10 pixels is good enough in this case. I'm going to click OK, and next I'm going to hold down on Command and click the letter J. So Command J, what this does is it creates a separate layer for just the selection that we made. As you can see, it's a little faint because the opacity is still less than 100, so I'm going to return it to 100% opacity. I'm going to zoom out using Command minus, and now I'm going to complete my actions. So I'm going to reopen my actions window, and I'm going to click angular fisheye to equirectangular. I'm going to, the reason why this came up was because I don't have layer 3 selected. So I'm going to click stop. I'm going to click layer 3, and then I'm going to play my action. As you can see, it's now at the top. It needs to be rotated 180 degrees. So here is our equirectangular cover-up of the tripod. So the last step is to click File and Save. I'm going to save it in the Pictures folder within my Project folder, and I'm going to keep it the same name, 6davidoutro.psd, format Photoshop. Save. Okay. Now I'm going to return back to Premiere. As you can see, I have audio, footage, sequences, folders, and now I will get to create a new bin called Pictures. I'm going to double click this. So we have the Pictures folder. I'm going to double click inside here. And as you can see, here's our Photoshop file. Here's the preview of it. I'm going to click import, and I'm going to allow it to merge all of the layers. So as you can see, here is our little clip. I'm going to click into my sequence and click the plus button to get a better perspective of the video that I would like to cover. I'm going to click and drag the Photoshop file onto the second layer on top. Now, as you can see, when I go into the VR video display and I look down, the tripod is no longer there. I'm going to click these safe margins off so you have a better view. So if I click the eyeball for the second layer, you can see the before and the after. The before and the after. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know.